So kia ora and welcome everyone as you're joining. We're just going to take a few minutes to give everyone time to transition from one session to the next. I'm Jessie, I'm the weaver of this room, so I'll just be here to provide a bit of support and keep the conversation flowing, but I'm sure Fiona will be absolutely stellar at that herself. We've got Stuart here and James. You'll see them with the asterisks in front of their name. They're our tech wizards here to make everything happen. And Fiona is our kōrero starter for this session. So the key thing to note before we get underway is that there's a collaborative document for this session which you can access via the program. James will drop that program into the chat in just a minute. And you can use that collaborative document to share thoughts and ideas. Fiona's planning on using that quite a bit throughout the session, so it's a good idea to have that open in front of you if you can. If you're having any trouble finding that, just flick a message in the chat and we'll be able to help you out. Basically, for the first few minutes while Fiona's setting the scene, we'll keep everyone muted, and then it'll become clear how we can all interact after that. And there'll be some breakout rooms and stuff. So that's enough from me. We've given it a couple of minutes. So over to you, Fiona. Let's get started.
Great, thank you, Jessie. So Díoghaibh Acharda, kia ora koutou. My name is Fiona and I'd like to have a kōrero about an impact mindset and how we might move through the cycle of awareness, learning and action beyond today so that we can ride the wave of enthusiasm and inspiration. I think it's really important to acknowledge that we all have different levels of awareness and knowledge. So I thought it would be great if we could co-create a tool that could be used for self-reflection and to potentially coach and influence others beyond today so that we can convert what we learn and the connections we make today into action rather than them just being a nice memory. So I do believe that awareness is the first step to change, but awareness alone is static. So if awareness alone was enough, no one would smoke, drink, eat junk, buy plastic, buy fast fashion and so on. So, and in the same vein, we often hear that knowledge is power, and I say bull. I say knowledge plus action is power. So I want you to take it, I'd love if you could take a look at the shared document for this session. So the goal at the end of the session is to have the start of a list of questions that any of us could work through, regardless of how embedded we already are in the impact world, to convert our thoughts and words into impactful action. So how the session is going to run is we're going to take a couple of minutes to reflect on this individually first. Then you'll be grouped with 1 or 2 people to discuss this for a couple of minutes. And then 2 small groups will be brought together to discuss. Finally, everyone will come back together to share some final thoughts and questions. So we don't have a lot of time in these breakout sessions, so do your best to keep it short, add to the notes and ensure everyone feels welcome to contribute and speak. So just in the shared document, I'll just flick into that myself. So you'll see, I just created a little visual to help people to think about what it is we're trying to achieve. So I've kind of described it as a cycle of cultivating an impact mindset, starting with awareness, learning and action, and that constantly is iterating. So I've added some little notes below that, just summarizing what I've just said there. And what I've done is I've created some headings: awareness questions and answers, learning questions and answers, and action questions and answers. And then any other questions or answers that you feel don't fit into that but think would be helpful in kind of co-creating this tool. So some of you might know the answers first. So then that might be about working backwards. So the answer is, oh, I want to know more about my values. Okay, well, what's the question that might get someone to that? Because we want to create almost a list of questions and tools. So I think that's everything from me. Let's have is there something in the chat? Okay, yeah, great. I was just making sure there was no questions for me before we went into the breakout room. Is there any questions for me before we go into the breakout rooms? Are people clear on what it is we're trying to achieve?
You can click the blue raise a hand button from the participants view if you did want to ask a question, or you can drop it in the chat, but it looks like we're all pretty good.
Cool. All right, guys. Yeah, I just genuinely wanted this to be really co-created. So taking those couple of minutes, maybe 2 minutes now, to individually reflect on that cycle and what you think might be the questions and starting to brain dump those in. And then the guys are going to, our tech support, amazing tech support, are going to take over, get us into those breakout rooms in the pairs or threes, and then bring those together and then bring us back. So yeah, let's go.
Cool. Stuart, you're all clear on what we're doing? Give me a thumbs up. Sweet. All right. So just click join when you see that pop up to join the breakout room.
So welcome back, everyone. So yeah, I just wonder, how did your discussions go? You know, it'd be really great for, you know, if you've added some notes to the document, great. If you haven't, please continue to do so. But yeah, how did you go? Be really keen to have people share some observations, or, you know, ask some questions, or yeah. So yeah, please feel free to just unmute yourself or raise your hand. Maybe is that the best thing to do, Jessie?
Yeah, if you raise a hand, I think we've got everyone on one screen, so you can actually just like raise your hand like this, or you can use the blue little raise a hand function from the manage participants view, whatever's easiest. Louise, I'll unmute you. There you go. Go for it.
I found that really challenging because there was an assumption made that I have an impact mindset, so I just needed to start at the beginning. So for me, I'm keen to see some questions, but I have no idea what that was. Sorry. So yeah, I don't know. I'm keen to find out. I can mute again now.
Thanks, Louise.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Natish, go for it.
Okay, Fiona, I think that was a really stimulating the questions, because in getting to the action, Ting, who was, if I may share this, you know, was able to really give me a strong insight. She says, well, one of the reasons why the action is hard is because we don't know what we don't know. And the learning is hard. And so how to translate the awareness into action. And then I jumped in and said, actually, that is a very interesting spark, because it is relationships. It's people who feel, who we can be vulnerable with, who can tell you what you don't know. And that's that relational quality that generates action, and why it is rare in this world, because it takes time to build relationships and build the speed of trust.
And I think that's a lot of the crux of why we're here today, right? Is to create relationships, meet people, hear a bit more about impact. What can we learn? So we know something. So everyone's at some level of awareness to be here. So what are we going to learn today that is then going to enable us to take some action? Anyone else want to share?
Andrea.
Hi, we talked a lot, just kind of following on from that theme about how we can support each other. So having to learn, something that's occurred to me anyway, is that first, in order to be able to support other people, so for example, how to support your team's well-being, you need to learn about yourself. So what do I need to do to support my well-being? How do I know when I'm stressed? What are those kind of stress responses and behaviors that start coming up? And then being open about that and sharing it with other people, and then going through that process with a team, and then you can all learn how to support each other. So that kind of two-stage process, like you have to learn it about yourself first and then learn about other people.
Yeah, that kind of internal awareness, then the external awareness, and then you can kind of move it into the learning, and then moving it into, it's a really good point, isn't it?
A really nice insight that Karen made was that this lockdown period has actually enabled us to connect with people we never would in ways that we never would have before. So that breakout session we just did, key example of that. And it breaks the barriers for us to actually connect with people, because all you need now is a Zoom link or any other sort of video call, and you can be connecting with people and start collaborating. Which is really cool.
Yeah, and I think the point of this wasn't for people to, the point of this conversation, it was very much not about coming in as an expert to go, right, here's what an impact mindset is, and here's what it needs to be, and here's what you need to do. It was about a collaborative conversation to co-create something. And I recognize that not everyone, some people maybe came in thinking, they were going to walk out with some specific tools around what an impact mindset looked like. But I think it was important that even if you didn't know what that was coming in here, you still had a valuable contribution to make. So because you were asking questions at a different level to other people in the room, and those questions are just as important to capture. So, I mean, if we have a look at some of the questions that have come up in there around learning, around awareness. So under awareness, you know, what do I need to increase awareness about? So I know I want to have an impact on something, but what else do I need to know or become aware of before really I can do anything? Okay, well, I need to know a bit more about myself. So I thought that's maybe about values and goals, and we've mentioned that already. So really understanding that a bit better. Around multicultural awareness, you know, was one of the answers. Well, okay, then one of the questions is, how do I gain more awareness and understanding about multiculturalism? And then into learning, where can I learn that? Who can I learn that from? Who can I ask? So it's kind of working through those questions, and it kind of becomes that kind of building blocks, I guess. And each time, the reason it's in that kind of circular format that I placed above is that actually, regardless of how embedded you are in impact, you can continuously iterate back through that cycle of awareness, learning, and action. So regardless of what level you're at. And then the action side of things is maybe, what are the things that stop us acting? So fear of failure, not knowing where to start, fear of perfectionism and criticism. Oh my goodness, is there another Brene Brown fan in here? But yeah, so as I said, this was a starting point, a good opportunity to start making a list of a couple of questions. Do you have anyone else have any other questions or insights or anything else they'd like to add into the document?
Yeah, Natish, go for it.
I was going to actually be ambitious and actually apply Fiona's trigger, the entire idea, in trying to solve in my talk. You want to apply what's going to stop us from action and take through that cascade that Fiona's given us.
Cool.
And I want to utilize that time to actually explore that cascade a bit more.
Yeah. Sounds great. Thanks, Natish. I'll have to come and see you then. See
Lovely.
how that goes.
Yeah, thank you. So useful. Because
good. Yeah, Sel?
Thank you. Will we be able to access the document later? Because I think one thing I did say is that I'm having trouble focusing on the document, the questions, and actually the pressure of talking. So I'd really like to reflect on it later.
Yeah, of course. Those links are going to stay live, so they're yours to continue collaborating on afterwards. I have just added in a couple of extra columns to there's a table at the top where you can add in your contact details if you wanted to stay in touch. And I've just put in what I'd like to learn and then what I'd like to support others with. So I guess in the spirit of taking this into action, if you did want to support others or learn from others in this group, it's a nice place to be able to just pop that in there.
Yes, brilliant. Thank you, Jessie. And really good question, Sel. Because yes, I recognize that not everyone is oh right, I've got all these ideas at the tip of my tongue now. I completely recognize that some of us are deep, you know, different types of thinkers and reflectors and communicators. So please take your time and feel free to add to this later on or tomorrow over the weekend. Kind of my intention is to collate the ideas and questions shared here and to start to develop a self-reflection / coaching tool and framework to share back with this group and anyone else that's interested kind of in that wider Unconference group that maybe didn't come along. But if you want to chat further, my email and everything is it's in the table, and make sure you add your contact details so that you know I can update you on what we've started here. So yeah, what I'd like to do is collate it together and share it back with you and give people an opportunity to add more into it and kind of build it and let this be something that continues beyond the Unconference. So yeah, any other questions or thoughts before we wrap up? No? Everything's just looking at me going, no, I'm grand, I've nothing else to say. So I think that might be everything for me. So yeah, kapai everyone, gurv mila mahagwiv. So the second language I've been using is Irish, where I'm originally from. And thank you for being part of this important kōrero. So, and enjoy the rest of the day. See you.
Thank you so much, Fiona. Really appreciate your time, and I'm really interested to see where that collaboration continues to go from here.
Cool.
So next up in this room in about 5 minutes, we've got Marianne Lee, who's going to be playing some guitar and singing some songs for us. She's absolutely incredible. So if you wanted to stick around, you're welcome to. We've got a range of different musical and some poetry readings going on across all of the different rooms for the next half an hour. So it's a good chance as well to go make that cup of tea, sit down, relax, listen to some music, and let everything sort of sift on in. And we'll be back for the next talk at 3:30.